so we just had a really great lunch. We really appreciate the food, right, from Spectrum Video. They really helped us out, and that was nice.
Awesome.
And helped us out with the studio, too, so we really appreciate it. But so this morning was really, really deep. This afternoon's going to be really deep because you're going to tell your story, right?
I'm going to try.
All right, we're going to make sure. And then, so I wanted to do something a little bit lighthearted. We talked when we were eating, do something healthy. Let's talk about healthy.
Right, because that's why we're here, is to point out what we don't want, which is unhealthy,
right?
Which shows us what we do want.
So this will be more fun stuff. Like, what have you done in relationships that's super fun? You know, like date nights, things like that. Yeah. And this is actually the most script we've had. I mean, that's a lot right there. Yeah, I'll try not to read from it, you know, because we thought we said it'd be raw, but yeah.
Do you have a match?
Yeah, right, yeah. So we'll, we're not even drinking wine yet.
No, we're not.
But we're gonna for your story, right?
We're definitely drinking wine.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Anyway, so in a relationship, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about stuff that you're like, yeah, that was cool.
Okay, you go first.
You don't have anything?
I do.
You know what you can talk about is the relationship you were in when you went to counseling because it was so good. There's got to be a ton of shit.
Counseling is fun?
No, not the counseling part, but because the relationship was so good, you went to counseling. No, I have like tons of stuff. So I'll say first before I go that here's an example. You know how you like you stalk people on Facebook? You're like say
like
say
to figure out what they're about?
Kind of, yeah, right? And what they're about, like you'll kind of get an idea of like, hey, are they into whatever, I don't know, like, you know, bicycle riding or hiking, off-roading, or they're into jeeping or hiking or whatever, right?
Sure.
And you kind of get an idea what they're into, and then it gives you an idea of like, okay, are they more outdoorsy? Are they more into like watching movies? Or are they, you know, what are they into? And that brings me to authentic. Since you told me to go first, I'm just going to go. But the authentic part is like, don't say you like to do stuff that you really actually don't like to do, right? Like, I'm not into watching sports. And what I mean by that is like, you wouldn't find me on the couch on Sunday watching sports. I'd rarely go to like a bar and sit and drink and watch sports because I want to go do stuff, you know? But I would go to a game. Like, I'd love to go to the game. There's supposed to be a game tonight, right? Between the Cardinals and the Green Bay or whatever. Yeah. And it's supposed to be amazing. It'd be super cool.
Yeah.
And congratulations to those guys for that too. The thing is though, is I wouldn't like just sit there and watch it. So I'm not going to tell somebody like, oh, I'm super into sports, you know? But I am into, you know, off-roading. I'm into the lake. I'm into surfing behind the boat. I'm into snow sports, winter sports, I should say, snow sports. I didn't even know that was a thing. But really a lot of outside stuff, you know? And when I was in relationships, like there was never really anything that we didn't do, you know? Like we go camping, and then we're camping, we go off-roading, and then when we're done off-roading, then we'd like play cards, we'd play games, or like Yahtzee. You know what? I gotta tell you. So this one time we were playing Yahtzee, and the person I was with, she got like 3 Yahtzees in a row. Wow. So I burned it. And I thought that was pretty fun, actually. Like, that's a fun story, right? Like, that's fun.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. Not in a bad way. It was just funny. I'm like, I'm like, you know, light on fire. Anyways, it was pretty funny. We always have, like, so now, like, I still have Yahtzee games in the house. I have more than one in case somebody gets 3 Yahtzees in a row. And then, because they know what's going to happen. Like, people know. My son knows.
It's not going to happen.
But yeah, like, card games and... we played this game called golf, and we played rummy, and we played, you know, all these games. And it was almost like every time you'd sit down, you'd do something together and interact, and it was super cool. You know, I really liked that. That was like one of the best things about the relationship is doing that, right? Mm-hmm. But then also like cornhole, and there's always something going on.
Something going on.
Big Jenga, you know, like the big Jenga games. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fun stuff. Right. And it builds that connection, and it builds like that laughter, and then you're talking and you're hanging out and sort of disconnecting from life a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But then, you know, like the lake and stuff, I like to do active stuff. But then, you know, just recently I went to, what's that thing, Van Gogh's thing?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super cool. Mm-hmm. But I like that deep shit, too, you know, where you sit there and you're, like, looking at art or, you know, there's, like, a show or a symphony or whatever. That stuff's cool, too. Going to movies.
Sure.
I'm into all that shit.
Sure.
Like, so pretty much anything. Skydiving.
Sure.
Whatever.
Sure.
But I guess my point is you want to make sure that that's a match, too. And you don't have to do everything together, obviously. But you don't want to have, like, 2 completely separate lives as far as fun goes.
I think the match needs to be, you have to be with somebody who wants to do something. Because there are people who don't want to do anything except sit and watch TV.
And that wouldn't work.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it would work for some people, but not for me.
Right.
Right. Otherwise, I'd be out
If you're
doing
that
shells.
person,
Yeah.
if that's that person, then clearly somebody who wants to be active, doing things,
Right.
connecting with other people, just
Yeah.
getting out and doing things, then that's a big mismatch.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's
a challenge.
Right, and especially, I mean, when I say my age, so I'm 51 now, and like people
Happy
start to slow
birthday.
down, right? They start to slow down a little bit, and not
Whoa,
everybody,
whoa,
not everybody.
whoa.
I'm just saying in general, right? But I've been told, like, dude, you're exhausting. Like, you're freaking
You
exhausting.
need to repaint your picture.
I do need to repaint it. I'm gonna repaint a whole bunch of shit while
Yeah,
we're
you
doing
are.
this, because this is sort of therapy as we go. But
Yeah.
but even my kids like, Dad, seriously, like, can't we just chill a day?
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, but dude.
I'm trying to figure out where this people slow down at 51 thing comes from.
No. I'm just saying sometimes they do.
Okay.
They're not as active as they are
True.
at 30.
True.
Right.
Maybe, or more so.
I think I'm as active as I ever have been.
So
right?
am
I'm super hyper. I don't know what the deal is, but what I'm saying
You're
is you have to
stoked on
match
life.
that energy
You're
too.
stoked on life. That's
You're
why.
super stoked now, right? 'Cause,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and honestly, like, no bullshit. You just said that. I'm stoked on life because, like, I did the work.
Right.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
'Cause
And you're
I'm not,
happy,
like,
so you
all-
want to go out and do things that bring you joy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun,
Right.
right? But the other thing, the other side of that, I guess the only side of caution to that is when you're staying too busy to avoid.
Life.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would
Or
say.
staying so busy that you're trying to numb the pain or quiet the voices in your head.
Do we need to talk about that? The voice in the head. I know what you're saying. I'm just
You know what
I'm
I'm
just being
saying.
an asshole.
Yeah.
I do. But yeah, so when you fill up every day and every night and there's like no
Yeah.
alone time and you're
Right.
like that's an issue, right?
definitely
That's a
an issue.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's also an issue, and I don't want to really talk about anything negative, but I was just thinking that made me think about, like when you there's a time in a relationship where sometimes you like to just binge watch TV, not really communicate, and sit there and drink or eat or whatever. That's not really all that.
Or the whole
healthy either.
relationship.
Or the whole relationship isn't, right? But generally, overall, I've always had activity. And that's the best part of the relationship, It's always that fun stuff, And then having adventures with friends, but then also having adventures by yourself. And just that whole dynamic of, enjoying life and doing things and being outside and all that different stuff,
Right.
I remember a couple times we did that, the X course or whatever. I think it's called X something. It's in Flagstaff. It's like this.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like obstacle course in the trees,
Right.
shit like that. Like I love that crap,
Right.
And then, mountain biking and stuff like that. Like a lot of times you don't find, that dynamic where you could, but.
But that's
I
where
guess-
you find friends you mountain bike with.
Right.
That's where autonomy comes in.
Yeah. Or maybe you do that with your partner.
So you have an interest. Your partner has interests. You have interests, and you do things by yourself. And if you can't do that, then that's an indication that there's
an issue.
An issue.
Yeah.
Because if you have to smother each other and you're connected at the hip 24/7, then without autonomy, then where's your sense of self, right?
Right, exactly. I think in parts of relationships I've been like that, but it's because of like jealousy or insecurity or like things are falling apart and they're not good, and you're like, hey man, and that's one of those things. Like in a healthy relationship, we talk about that, right? Like if you start feeling insecure or whatever, you're like, hey, I feel a little bit insecure. Why, or whatever. Like we just talked about jealousy, right, or insecurity or whatnot, and you talk through that, and you talk through it with love, and you build on the relationship. And same thing with activities, right? Like, I don't know, I don't really play golf. I have brand new golf clubs I haven't even used, and I've had them for like 4 months, and they're super cool too. But anyways, I just think of shit. But the funny thing is like I would play, but I don't really know anybody that plays golf on a regular basis, because I mean I ride dirt bikes and I go to the lake and I camping and that kind of stuff. I think golf clubs to me would be like fishing, because I don't really ever fish either. But like kayaking's cool, or like any kind of outdoor thing, you know what I mean? And then I was looking online the other day, and there's so much to do. Like there's so many ways to find things to do online. I haven't even stopped. Do you want to say something?
I'm just letting you go.
But
Obviously, there's a lot that needs to come
there's
out
a lot
right
of
now.
shit in there,
There's
man.
a lot.
Yeah, like a lot of happiness.
Yeah, there's a lot of joy.
Yeah, right? I mean, why not?
Right.
But I was like looking online the other day, and I'm like, dude, there's like all these meetup groups, and there's like all this stuff that you could do as a couple.
Right.
And then they have, there's like not singles groups, not like singles dating groups, but like singles groups where like you'd be a couple, they just don't want you to be married. But there's like lots of that stuff too going on, and that's cool. Like there's a meetup group tomorrow, and it's just like a meetup group where like a bunch of people get together and they're gonna do like a pub crawl in downtown Scottsdale. Stuff like that's cool. Or like we're gonna go out and run around tonight and get information and data for the show. Like that's gonna be fun. Right? Going and talking to people and interacting and whatever's gonna happen. Who knows what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be fun.
Right.
And having that healthy attitude towards new things is a big deal, right?
Right.
So
let's talk about balance, because you just verbally barfed out about 500 activities.
yeah,
And
maybe.
$4.99.
Yeah,
Yeah,
482.
But activities are important. So like you said, when there's too much, then that could be an indication of a problem. But the balance is, with your partner, you have to be able to have that quiet time and actually be connected in the quiet time instead of be numb and check out. So when that's an issue, then usually there's an issue with activities too, right? Because it's usually there's like an issue in general,
Yes.
right?
I was just thinking.
What? I
was
know
just
you were
thinking, I was
going
like-
somewhere.
I was
You were like,
fuck, we just took all the fun away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally
No,
kidding.
we didn't.
But you're right, though, yeah. But that silent time you're talking about, that's some of the best time.
it is.
But you can do that camping. You
Yeah,
can do that on a lake.
exactly.
You can do a lot of that stuff. And that's why I think, you do things together with friends, you do things autonomous, then you do things like just, you and your partner. But those are great experiences. Like some of my best times have been just with me and my partner, right? Because you're so connected and you're like hanging out. And that's a good indicator that you're compatible too.
Right.
That you can like hang out and do stuff together and it's comfortable and it's not weird. You know what I mean? Like I remember.
Well, if you can't do it, that's weird.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I've had both.
Right.
I've had, like one of the girls I dated this is a long, long time ago, but she had like motion sickness or whatever. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, shit, well, we can't really do anything then. Like we can't go race around in a car. We can't like, that's going to suck. We can't go on a boat. Cause
You're the extreme guy.
Yeah. You're like, that ain't going to work.
Right.
So, and then I dated another girl, like we did stupid stuff, like super fun stuff. Like we'd be, off-roading in the middle of nowhere and run out of gas or the tire would break off or it was like a super fun adventure all the time. And it sounds crazy. Like that sounds like, oh, that must have sucked. But it was actually fun. Because then we were problem solving and it sounds weird, huh? But it was so fun, like doing shit. Things break, things happen.
Or you're just making the most of everything, which is what you should be doing anyway.
Yeah,
every day.
it was bitching.
Whether you're with someone or not.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like that's why I like to do stuff all the time because things happen and then you have like a better adventure, really. And then, that goes with family too. It goes with things you do with your children or other things too, and including the kids in that too, right? So one of the things that I'm going to shut up after this, by the way. I'm just going to put a timer out. And I'm not going to talk.
No, you're good.
But
I forgot the hourglass.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. We should do that.
Right.
But no, I was going to say that, a lot of what we're doing right now, as far as like behavior and looking for red flags and trying to be as healthy as you can be, is helping the kids too. Like, because my son, part of his anorexia was from conflict with me and my ex, right? But if we could have a healthier relationship, even as divorced parents or as co-parents, that helps him so much. And it helps the kids. Like, I told my story about an unhealthy home life, right? And that affected me moving forward so much in my life. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's not my parents' fault, right? It's just one of those situations where you have a bad example and then that affects a lot in your life afterwards. So this is to help that too. Really, at the end of the day, it's about kids, right? Because that's everybody's most important thing.
It is, because if we don't heal where we are and what's going on in our trauma, then it's going to play out in our relationships. It's going to play out in the next generation because kids are seeing from our example. Because that's all there is. And if we don't give them tools and help them, then it'll continue.
So this is a contradiction in what we just said. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you have a healthy relationship, then the kids are going to be okay. Where some people are like, oh, my kids always come first. They're always number one. They always come first. And I'm like, no, they're not. Not always. But sometimes they are. But not always.
And that's their version of kids first, right? So to them, that might be, oh, they're in soccer, they're in dance, they're in this, they're in that, right? So they've got them in 18 activities. They show up, they cheer for them, everything. They think that is first. That's not first. Right? Because if you make that first and then you put...
There's no time for your relationship.
Well, or the child's emotions are not taken care of.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so if that's left out, then that's a big miss.
Right. It's a
Right?
huge miss. And I think there's like, just from my perspective, if you have a healthy relationship, then everything's healthy, really. You know what I'm saying? Like everything sort of fits in there. And with that communication and that, autonomy and, doing things together, doing things as a family, having fun.
Yeah.
Like the kids seeing you have fun instead of playing computer games all day. And not like that's super bad.
No.
Right? But
Everything with
everything in
balance,
moderation.
Everything in moderation.
Right? But like my son would play video games all weekend long, which is
Sure.
why I always grab him like, dude,
Yeah.
we're out of here. Tomorrow, if you want to have a chill day and sit on the couch and play video games, fine.
Right.
But we're not doing it all weekend,
Right.
And then it was funny because he was leaving the other day and Nate's like, oh, man, I'm tired. And my ex is like, oh, dude, I know the feeling because I'm always doing something,
Right.
But yeah, so that goes back to just having that, the equality, communication, healthy, being authentic and not doing things you're not really actually into.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's cool.
Right. And the other thing too is with that activities and partnership, if you're not interested in something, that's okay. And
Yeah.
I think I've seen experience almost like being shamed for not being interested in something. Like not shame. Well, I guess it was. Like, I can't believe you're not into this. Just like a lot
I
of
get that all the time.
a lot of negative conversation to where you feel less than because you're not joining in on something because it literally sounds like something you would never fucking want to do.
Right,
And
yeah.
you should be able to have your own values and your own interests and everything and still be able to be a partner if it's a healthy relationship. And kids should be able to see that. Oh, my dad's doing this. My mom's doing that. And
Or maybe like, you can vocalize what you're interested in and what
Yeah,
you're not.
yeah.
Or sometimes you just rather do, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather ride my dirt bike than
Right.
sit and watch sports on the
Right.
couch. Or
And that should be okay.
like I'd rather, but I would still do it. Like
Yeah.
if I was dating somebody that's super into it and they're all excited and like there's a big game today like we talked about, like I get it. That's pretty cool. Like I would do that, right? But every weekend like watching no, that's not going to happen.
No.
Any sport really. Even like I was into, motocross and supercross, huge. And even now I still wouldn't sit there and watch it.
Right.
It's just not that fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're having a chill day and you're like wasted and you're that quiet time, not wasted like
I know
wasted
what you
wasted
mean.
like
You're
you're
just,
gonna
like,
be when you
wiped
tell
out.
your story, but like when you're sitting there and you're
Great.
what you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I'm laughing.
You know what I mean, right?
I know. I do.
All right. So
I do.
so we're on the same page.
get you. Yeah.
That was a good example. Like a man and a woman on the same page. Did you see that? That was healthy for like this much time. But anyways, no, like
One
that.
for us.
Yeah, one for us. When you're sitting there, you watch a movie or whatever. It's funny because I'm so busy lately. I don't really ever turn the TV on.
Right.
It's a trip. Like there's so much going on.
I haven't watched in months.
Yeah. Where I used to be able to kind of hang out. Like in a relationship, you can chill a little bit. It seems like not all the time, but it just seems like I'm just like, I don't know, I was almost less busy.
Yeah.
Like my last relationship, some parts were unhealthy, but some parts were super healthy. And I learned balance, right? Like balance with work and fun and whatever. And since starting this, now we're going to make it, a 501c3 and we're going to, we're scheduling, studio time and da-da-da-da-da. Like that's going to take a little bit of time away. But once it's all stabilized, then it's fun now, but it's going to be super fun. You know what I mean? Later on, because it'll just be like, hey, what's up to this? And here's this. And sometimes it won't be fun, but we're sharing information, right? And this is part of it, is that date nights thing.
We're
Like,
educating.
tell me about your best date night ever.
Ooh. Let's see.
I read that off our script right here. Date nights.
Oh,
It was underlined.
that was
so
yours.
Let's hear it.
Everything's underlined. Let's see. One of the best date nights ever. I would say chasing a full moon and finding the highest point to watch it, and taking music and just sitting and listening to music and watching the moon.
That's cool. That's romantic too.
And it was very just like in the moment, very mindful and memorable.
That's cool. That's really cool. I like that.
It's not what you expected, is it?
No, but I mean it's cool. Like I guess it is because you're pretty deep. You're pretty like yeah. I mean that's and you're spiritual.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know me. I've had like thousands of fun. Like I don't know. I can remember a bad date like at the very end because of maybe alcohol or the relationship was toxic and the alcohol brought that out. But generally every single time I would do something,
start
it's
off good.
fun. Yeah, it's super fun. Like even
So
stupid.
tell me your best date night.
I don't even know. I can't remember one.
Take a moment.
They're all good.
Take a moment. We have time. How much time do we have?
You know what? I'll tell you one of my best dates, like one of my best adventures, was we were camping, and we had a razor at the time, and so we take the razor out, and it was funny because like there's always a conversation before, right? There's always like this conversation. Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah, we probably don't need a gun. It's no big deal. We'll be back before dark. No, it's not a big deal. So we take off the razor.
Famous last words.
Yeah, right. And we're like, brr, we go around the corner and we go through this like guard gate thing, and there's a bear, like this big freaking bear, and I'm like, shit. And we just went through this gate and then closed the gate, so you have to go back. And I'm like, I wonder where the next gate is. Like, what's this keep following us? But it's stuff like that is the most fun for me, you know.
Yeah.
And then we rip through down this trail and we go to the next gate, and then we drive a little bit, and for whatever reason I don't remember, but they were putting like these little stakes in the ground to give people flat tires or whatever. Uh-huh. So we used to haul on this thing, like from racing motorcycles and stuff, right? Like it was never just like putt around and look at the trees.
Sure.
You know? We were like, rah! And anyway, we get a flat tire, and when we got a flat tire, the little thing that they put in the roadway, like it was they were actually busting people for that. But anyways, it goes through the rim and the rim breaks. So then we're on the freeway. We get back to the freeway, and the girl I was with, it was so funny. She was sitting like outside the car to take the weight off the front of the car. You know, and we're like down the freeway for like I don't know how many miles, like 10 miles.
Wow.
And we both laughed our asses off the whole time. Like that's the kind of shit that's fun to me. I don't know why, but it's funny. You know what I mean?
You just eliminated probably like 99% of the dating pool.
But it was funny. Like that. I mean, that's not the best date ever, but that's the kind of shit.
No,
like
it's funny.
You remember that stuff forever and ever and ever. You know. It was so funny though. But and then and then one time, same type of thing. We're hauling ass down from Crown King, and we come around this corner. And I like look over, and there's the back wheel of the razor. It's like, foo, and it shoots off like out into the wilderness. And I'm like, fuck. And then so we stop. I swear to God, this is like the best stories. And so we stop, and I'm like, shit, the wheel just flew off. Nuh-uh, the wheel just flew off. I'm like, yeah, it's over there in the freaking ditch or wherever it went, because we were doing like 60. And this guy comes walking around the corner out of nowhere. We're in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of the desert, 20 miles from civilization.
Right.
And this guy walks out from around the corner, and he goes, hey, can I help you guys? And I was like, what the fuck? And it's some dude and his family out there taking pictures of saguaro cactus. And they gave us a ride all the way back to my house, which was like 40 miles away.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got my truck and trailer, and then we came back, and it was so funny. Like shit like that,
Right.
You think like, what a pain in the ass. But it was always fun. It was always like,
well, again,
it was funny.
Making the best of everything.
Yeah. But and it wasn't always like that, right? Like shit doesn't always break, but it's cool.
No.
And then, just stuff like that. But, I like going to the symphony. I remember one time, I got to go to the symphony or something, and there was like a super good dinner and hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's always something active and outside normally, which really makes me
One
remember.
of my favorite things to do inside was we played a game called Music Roulette. So we would just put on YouTube, and then you take turns just picking a song. And we would do it with like either just the two of us, or we would do it with a group of people, like 10 people. Mm-hmm. And so you learn something about the person, because it's like, okay, what's your favorite song right now? Mm-hmm. So whoever has a remote, it's like they play their song. Nobody's allowed to interrupt the song. You have to play all the way through. Even if everybody thinks it sucks, you still have to play the song all the way through. And then you go to the next person. So you go from like, hip hop and jazz and pop and whatever, or throwback stuff. And it was a cool thing to do. We'd spend so many nights doing that. And it was just way better than sitting on the sofa watching a movie or like whatever.
Yeah. Here's one. This is funny. So I got divorced from my first wife. So I'm married twice. So I got divorced from my first wife, and I was dating. And I met this girl, and she's like, hey, do you want to go blooping? And I was, what's blooping? And so we go to this park, and we pick up all these rocks. And she throws a rock. And she's like, when it goes bloop, we have to stop kissing. And we hadn't kissed yet. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. So she like throws a rock, and it goes bloop, and then we stop kissing. And then she throws another rock. And then like the fourth rock, she like acts like she throws it, and we start kissing. And we kept kissing.
She didn't throw it.
She didn't throw the rock, right? Like on purpose. And I'm like after, I don't know how long it was, I was like, hey, what happened to the bloop? And then I go, did we not hear that? And she's like, I didn't throw the rock. I'm like, oh, fuck.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was like stuff like that. I remember, it was pretty cool. Like it was romantic, and that was a really long time ago. But yeah, stuff like that's fun,
Right.
Or dancing or whatever, you go out dancing and have a good time.
Sure.
But the adventure stuff is really, is really cool, or like a Vegas trip, but not like a Vegas go crazy
Right.
stupid trip, like go see some shows and things like that. Like I really enjoy that.
I
Walking
think we're
around.
saying that you just have to keep the interest alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
With
if-
variety, too.
And if somebody gives up
Yeah.
and becomes complacent,
Yeah.
then that's kind of the beginning of the
Kind of like the beginning
end.
of the end, yeah. And the other thing too is like planning the trips. Like, hey, I got an idea, you want to do this? And then maybe like next week, like, hey, I got
and
an
then you
idea,
get
wanna do
excited
this?
about it,
Yeah.
and you have something to look
Yeah.
forward to.
Yeah, like I saw that there's like this date book thing. I saw one of those things, it's on Facebook. And you can like buy the book and then like you do adventures and take pictures of your adventures and it gives you like a memory book. Like that's kind of cool. But when I think about it, I'm like, I have tons of fucking ideas. Like I have tons of fun shit, or just even, I don't know, just anything is fun.
Right.
I had fun going to the grocery store normally. But anyways,
You could make that a date,
yeah, a grocery store date.
right?
But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything there. The authentic part is key. Being honest with what you enjoy is key.
Being honest with what you enjoy.
Here's a question. What is something you wouldn't do?
Skydive.
Really?
I would be afraid I'd throw up.
You wouldn't. It's bitching.
You never know.
It's so amazing. What else is something you wouldn't do?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I used to think I would never get on a Harley, and I did. I mean, I don't know until I'm making that decision.
Right. Like if it comes up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything I wouldn't do. Like there's nothing.
I would probably skydive then.
I would totally, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just to try it out. Even if I didn't do it, I'd just try it out.
Yeah.
Like one time at band camp, we were at the lake and we were walking by and shit just happens. Shit pops in my head like this. But we were walking by and I was like, oh, kayak. And then we were like, I wonder if we could kayak across the lake to the other bar and get a drink and then kayak back. Like, that'd be fun, huh? Next thing you know, we're like, cranking across the lake, like across Lake Pleasant in this stupid kayak. And I was like, the whole time I'm like thinking, fuck, I hope the boats see us. We're like cranking across, It was so fun. And then we didn't have one, we had like 2 or 3 drinks. Then we're like coming back, doing the same thing. It was so fun.
Just being a little spongy.
Shit like that, right? I'm always spontaneous like that. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Oh, or the world's largest slide at Lake Pleasant. Like, that's bitching. Everybody should do that because it's super cool. And doing it at night too, that's even better.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't do. I don't go in dark. I don't like dark water.
No.
Like if you go in water at night, then there's like fucking alligators and shit in it. Like I don't know why. I ain't doing that. That's from the fire department too, from the dive team. Like I don't fucking go in dark water because there might be shit in there. You know what I mean? Because you can't see, right? I'm just saying. Like this is a safety message
I'm sorry,
right
I'm
now.
laughing.
You don't fucking go in dark water. 'Cause
No,
there's monsters
it's
in
definitely a safety thing.
it. Yeah, there's monsters in there.
It's a
So
safety thing.
I'm just letting everybody know.
Loch
Yeah,
Ness.
safety message. Anyway, that's it on healthy. Appreciate you guys watching.
Healthy adventure.
Yeah, healthy adventures.
Be genuine.
Yeah. Stay
Don't be
out of dark
complacent.
water.
Don't be complacent.
Right, exactly.
Bottom line.
Yep.
Yep.